and whether his successor will keep it going.
Well, this is just one of those things where you say, let my people go.
A blow to Rooftop Solar. A local solar company owner reacts to the news that sets back her industry's attempt to roll back a rate hike.
From 8 News Now, this is Politics Now with Steve Sebelius and Patrick Walker.
Well, there's legal trouble for Donald Trump's staff. Thanks for joining us. I'm Steve Sebelius.
And I'm Patrick Walker. Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski arrested and charged with simple assault for an incident in which he is accused of violently grabbing a reporter at a campaign event. That's what we're showing you now. That's the reporter, Michelle Fields, in the yellow jacket. Trump immediately went on the offensive, defending Lewandowski and attacking Fields. Lewandowski defended himself, denying touching Fields, even accusing her of being, quote, totally delusional. Trump even questions Fields' bruises, saying he, quote, didn't know where she got them, and claiming she changed her story. But the fact-checking website PolitiFact said there was no evidence she changed her story and gave Trump a pants-on-fire rating for that.
Well, it's understandable Donald Trump wants to, stand by his man, but Lewandowski called Fields delusional and denied that he ever touched her when he knew that he did. So it's going to be difficult, I think, for Trump to stand by him after this.
You would think so. I mean, videotape evidence, you can debate it what you will, but there is tape now to back up the claim.
Yeah, absolutely. And no matter what, tape or no, Lewandowski knew when he said those things that what he'd done. So. Well, a disappointment for rooftop solar customers this week.
A Carson City judge decided an effort to roll back a rate hike will have to be refiled as an initiative petition, not as a referendum. If solar advocates decided to go that route, that means the legislature gets to take it up first before voters get a crack at it. I talked to Louise Helton of One Sun Solar Electric about where they're going to go from here.
Let's talk a little bit first, just the most current news. So one of the ways that solar has been appealing the industry is to try to get this on the ballot. One of those efforts a judge recently struck down earlier this week. What kind of a blow is that, especially the local solar industry, and where can you go from here?
Obviously, the local solar industry has had a tremendous blow. I can speak for myself and my colleagues that our business is down 95% over last year. So it's dealt a huge, serious blow. However, we're looking at all the support we have, so we're so encouraged. Obviously, the referendum that was just declined by the judge, we're concerned about. The ballot initiative, what that does is you put a ballot initiative of what the voters want, again, on the ballot. The voters vote, it moves forward, it goes to the legislature. Now, if the legislature modifies the initiative, then it has to go back to the voters again. So it's very protracted, and it doesn't exactly take the voters' will at its word and make it law.
If it goes back to lawmakers, do you foresee hurdles in the legislature?
There's always things that can change, and the thing that's great is the referendum would give everyone certainty at the end of the election. Everyone would know what to expect. And what this does is it just protracts the time that it takes for people to know what their decisions and their options are going to be.
Well, when you look back at the appeal process as well, that is an option. I'm sure that's on the table. Is that being actively worked on right now?
It's certainly one of the options, and it's just very newly been, the judge's decision is very new, and I don't know, I'm not the final word on what happens. I haven't heard that it's definitive of what they're going to do.
There's a lot of polling where the public shows they're in favor. How do you feel that the chances are moving forward?
Well, this is just one of those things where you say, let my people go, because when you listen to the people, when you know what the people want, and 89% we know are on the side of net metering and support rooftop solar. So the thing that's been very frustrating is when you have these very small bodies that are making these decisions for the body of the rest of the people, they're not listening to the people. This is not what the people want.
Being a local company, you're having to adapt. You said like 95% of your business has dropped. What do you say when you have the larger companies, the solar cities, who are pulling out and moving operations, as compared to the local companies who are still here trying to adapt? Does that send a bad message?
Well, they have an option. That's an option when you're a big national company. You can move to another market. That's no problem. And this is what we brought to the Public Utilities Commission and the legislature. Whatever you think of the larger companies, We're the ones who are here. We're the locals. We're the ones who've been employing Nevadans since day one. We're the ones who've been struggling through the recession to make everything happen. And we're the ones who are going to be collateral damage. And certainly we don't have the option of moving on. I wouldn't blame any of those big companies one bit. I mean, under the circumstances, the decisions that were made, they're job killing. And so, of course, they had to move on. We are here.
Well, you can catch the rest of that interview on LasVegasNow.com. And Steve, how big of a blow really is this to the solar industry?
Well, it is a setback because they wanted to go forward with this referendum, but it's not fatal by any means. First, I think if this was put forward as an initiative, people would support it, definitely. And second, this is clearly going to be one of the prime issues, if not maybe the most important issue of the 2017 session. So they have a chance to go up to Carson City and do a policy change up there as well.
And you've covered many legislative sessions, and you were telling me just a bit ago it comes up a lot. These are always hot button issues.
Yeah, the electricity and energy issues are always very controversial and some of the most complex issues at the legislature. So I see this going forward as being one of the big ones.
Well, from solar to public lands, for Harry Reid, legislation protecting those lands is the legacy he hopes to leave behind. Here's what Harry Reid told 8 News Now he wants to be remembered for when we spoke with him back in March of 2015.
3.5 million acres of wilderness that have my name on them. We have many conservation areas that have my name on them. We have a national park, that's my name, Great Basin National Park. We have the California Immigrant Trail Visitor Center, Great Basin National Park Visitor Center, and Red Rock Visitor Center. And that doesn't take into consideration the stuff I've done dealing with renewable energy on public land. So I feel that I've done quite a bit. Maybe I could have done more, but I've done quite a bit.
Well, neither of the two likely candidates hoping to get his seat, Joe Heck or Catherine Cortez Masto, really have done much in that arena. Now, fast forward a year when we spoke with them again. Public lands, once again, a hot topic. No surprise, Reid is doubling down with a message that has hardly changed.
We have one big national monument. We got a lot of conservation areas. We have renewable energy, which is part of what I was able to accomplish because I put it in the bill. So no, I feel comfortable where I am. I just hope somebody can match what I've done.
Well, Reid doesn't shy away from talking about like Cliven Bundy and his followers, his threats to public lands, but it is clear that's something he's pushing now as he's in the sunset of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always said, growing up in Searchlight, he appreciated the beauty of the desert, and that was something he'd always wanted to preserve, and he's certainly done a lot of it. The question I have is he finished now? Are those things he talked about the end, or is he going to try to do a little bit more on the way out? Like, for example, getting national conservation status for Gold Butte. I think that remains like one thing that he has yet to do, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him push that one last time on his way out before he leaves in January.
There still is time. He's also pushing for some federal rooftop solar legislation as well, so there are some things he still can have his hand in.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, aiming for a repeal.
That was why I was voted in, to look for solutions rather than just raising taxes.
State Senate candidate Victoria Seaman explains why she is taking a no new tax stance. Plus,
I think there's more concern about security around him than around anyone else.
Then they probably should have more security there.
Our face-off panel weighs in on the videotaped assault by Trump's campaign manager and what would happen if it was another candidate's campaign under fire.
This week on Wheel of Fortune,
sun, sand, surf, and romance.
It's Sandals Resorts Week.
Explore Ocho Rios with your friends and family.
This is my boyfriend, John.
Wheel's having fun in the Caribbean sun.
Just with a gentle wave of the hand. Thank you so much. The power I have is absolutely amazing.
Plus, Vanna makes a special stop.
Great to be here with all of you.
Did they ask about me?
No.
Okay, well, I just...
This week, only on 8 News Now.
The world is getting more dangerous. Your home may not be as safe as you think. Trust Rolladen Rolling Shutters to protect your home, your business, and especially your family. Your windows alone can't stop burglars. You need the protection only Rolladen Rolling Shutters can provide. With durable construction and insulation, you'll be safe and secure while saving up to 60% off your energy bills. Rolladen introduces Fire Sense. It automatically opens your shutters in case of fire. Call Rolladen Rolling Shutters for details. 702-878-1072 for your peace of mind.
Nevada is one of the worst places in America for the sex trafficking of teenage girls.
Thankfully, Catherine Cortez Masto went to work to help law enforcement fight back.
As Attorney General, she made sex trafficking a felony crime and increased sentences.
She gave victims the right to sue their captors.
And expanded the sex offender registry to protect kids.
Catherine's a problem solver. That's what she's all about.
Isn't that something we need more of in Washington?
I'm Catherine Cortez Masto, and I approve this message.
Tonight, it's the ACM Awards.
We're back in Vegas, baby.
With superstars Tim McGraw, Florida Georgia Line, Carrie Underwood, Blake Shelton, Chris Stapleton, Eric Church, Keith Urban, Jason Aldean, Kenny Chesney, Miranda Lambert, Little Big Town, Martina McBride, plus a not-to-be-missed duet with Dolly Parton and Katy Perry, and your hosts Luke Bryan and Dirk Bentley.
Join me and the new guy.
The Academy of Country Music Awards live. CBS tonight or stream it live.
Welcome back to Politics Now.
Well, Assemblywoman Victoria Seaman is in a tight Republican primary for a state Senate seat. This could be the closest primary state in the race.
Absolutely. The Senate Republican caucus is backing her opponent, Assemblyman Irv Nelson. This primary has already gotten nasty, primarily over the issue of taxes. I sat down with Seaman to ask her about the race. Before you ran for Assembly, you promised you were not going to raise taxes. You voted against the big tax bill that came up. Why was it important for you to make that pledge to the voters that you weren't going to raise taxes?
Because I felt that it was important to look for other solutions besides putting more taxes on the constituents. We just went through an economic downturn, and we absolutely, that was why I was voted in, to look for solutions rather than just raising taxes.
Do you think there's ever a circumstance where it'd be appropriate to raise taxes, or is that just something you think is the last thing we ought to do?
Well, I think it is one of the last things we ought to do, and I think there might be circumstances where you do have to raise taxes, but it shouldn't be your first solution.
You did vote for a number of the bills that spent money, the pay bill for the state workers, the K-12 school funding bill, the Appropriations Act. Some of your colleagues voted against all of those bills. They said, listen, we're not going to vote for the spending because we know we're not going to vote for the taxes. So to be consistent, we're going to vote no on everything. You voted for just a couple of those, against a couple of others, and then against the tax bill. Do you think there's any inconsistency there?
No, I don't, because there were other solutions on revenue, and besides SB 483, which is the largest tax hike in Nevada state history. And as you know, 80% of Nevadans voted that down. I know you agree with the tax, and I know I've read some stuff that you agree with the margins tax, but 80% of Nevadans did not.
Yeah. Now, do you think the margins tax and the tax, the portion of SB 43, which is the commerce tax, are the same thing?
Absolutely. It's a gross receipts tax on businesses. We knew that the gross receipts tax on businesses is an unfair tax, and it will hurt a lot of small businesses.
Now, the argument against or rather in favor of the SB 43 was that it wasn't going to impact small businesses. You first have to get to $4 million, and then it only applies to revenue above $4 million. You could earn, say for example, $5 million. That last $1 million would be subject to the tax, but it would be about $1,000 in terms of the tax. Is that really something that's going to impact small business?
Absolutely. A lot of businesses, who are we to say what is a small business? A business that could be grossing $4 million or $5 million could be making a net profit of $50,000. That's not the way you determine what a small business is or a large business, by their gross. It's by their net. It's just depending on the business. Some businesses cost more to do than other businesses.
Sure. Yeah, and you don't think that the rates that are built into the SB 43 is enough protection for businesses?
When every 2 years the legislature can change that? Absolutely not. There's already talk about next session coming in and lowering that floor to maybe 500,000 or $1 million. And then you're going to be constantly having to fight over which industry is going to pay more of a percentage. This tax can change every 2 years. Now that it's been created, this is the first corporate tax in the state of Nevada.
One of the arguments in favor of creating that tax was that we needed better education to have a more educated workforce, so that when businesses came to look at our state, they would say, okay, yeah, there's a workforce there that we can hire, and we can have them do high-tech jobs that tend to be higher pay. You obviously didn't buy that argument when it was made at the legislature. That did not persuade you.
That's correct, because we know that throwing more money at education hasn't worked for many, many, many years. But some of the good work that we did in this session was the education savings accounts. I believe in the opportunity scholarships that I think were a new way to try to improve education that wouldn't have cost the state anything, and in fact, in the long run, it would have saved the state money. I think that that's what the people voted us in. It was to find solutions, not keep doing the same thing over and over, throwing taxpayer money at something that just plain simply wasn't working.
Yeah.
Well, we have the entire interview on our website, lasvegasnow.com. We've also extended an invitation to Irv Nelson to come on the program with us. Now, clearly, Steve, it appears that taxes in this race are the main subject.
Yeah, absolutely. The Republicans are trying to argue that in certain circumstances this helps small business because they lowered taxes. I don't know if the nuance is really going to work with the voters.
Yeah, that's going to be to wait and see how that all comes through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, up next, backing off a campaign promise.
I think nominating Donald Trump would be an absolute train wreck.
The pledge that all 3 Republican candidates are going back on. Plus,
the Secret Service had asked her twice to step down and back off. She didn't.
If the Secret Service is there, let them do the job.
Our face-off panel weighs in on whether criminal charges pending against Trump's campaign manager could happen to other candidates.
Jeopardy contestants are daring.
This lady has some spunk about her. You rode in an Indy car.
We went 175 miles an hour for 5 laps. It was amazing.
Determined.
I made a promise that if I made it onto Jeopardy, I would get a tattoo of a certain game show host.
And very smart.
You qualified for the Prometheus Society.
It's a high IQ society, 1 in 30,000.
I could have qualified if I were smarter.
But who has what it takes to be champion?
This week, only on 8 News Now.
We've been working hard to keep energy costs low. How low? We've lowered our rates 3 times in the last year. We also offer programs and services that help you lower your bill. And we won't stop looking for more ways to go even lower. Why?
Because we're Nevadans, and we're customers too. Should I keep going? Hello?
Today, the impossible is happening. Thanks to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, thousands with blood cancer are coming home to live a normal life. When you support LLS, you not only save lives, you accelerate the most pioneering cancer research of our time. Help us turn someday into today. Join us.
Monday morning, the brand new park on the Strip opens to the public.
This really hopefully becomes the new center of the Las Vegas Strip.
We'll be there live with everything you can enjoy at the new attraction.
Plus, ride sharing, a very popular option, but a lot of women don't feel safe using it alone.
Picking up men that I don't know, or if they're out drinking all night.
The new service for women driven by women.
And break out those shorts and sunglasses because spring is getting warm.
That's right, we're bringing back the 80s. Your forecast Monday morning.
It's time for the Race Now, where we go over the big political stories of the week.
Well, there were no primaries this week, but the Republicans still faced off in a town hall meeting on Wednesday. And during it, all 3 candidates backed off their pledge to support the eventual party nominee.
No, I don't anymore. Look,
you don't?
No, we'll see who it is.
I think nominating Donald Trump would be an absolute train wreck.
If the nominee is somebody that I think is really hurting the country and dividing the country, I can't stand behind them.
Well, as for the Democrats, their next debate will be next month in New York.
And a Democrat running for Congress in Nevada made headlines this week when he said Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid urged him not to run because he's a Muslim. Jesse Spybaugh says the comment came during a meeting last August. Reid's camp has steadfastly denied the senator said anything like that. Reid is backing one of Spybaugh's proponents in that congressional race. At the top of the show, we told you about the charges against Donald Trump's campaign manager.
So are the charges legitimate, and what does this say about the Trump campaign? We put those questions, of course, to the face-off panel this week. Battleborn Progress's executive director Annette Magnus and KXNT radio host Alan Stock. Well, the Trump campaign back in the news this week. Now one of the topics is the campaign manager alleged assault with the reporter. We've seen now video surfacing that maybe shows some of it. What do you make of it, and do you see an assault here?
I'm not surprised. We've seen this type of behavior in all different facets of the Trump campaign, whether it's Trump calling on the crowd to throw punches during rallies, or if somebody throws a tomato, make sure you punch them, or whatever it is. I mean, you've seen his supporters throwing punches during the rallies and things like that. I don't put it past his campaign manager, and I don't put it past his campaign. Nothing surprises me anymore, and frankly, I think the Trump campaign is a joke.
She claimed that, and you've seen the written report, that she claimed she was taken, thrown to the ground and like that. Well, I've seen the video, you've all seen the video. She wasn't thrown to the ground, never went down. None of that was true at all. Did she go home and create the mark on her hand herself? People speculated to that. But I'll tell you something, if someone had gone up to Hillary Clinton in a very similar situation, been asked twice by Secret Service to back off, and then finally reached out to grab Hillary like that and to talk to her, someone would have been there to say, to pull her, this other person away. Whether, again, it's Hillary or Sanders or Trump or anyone. I'm not going to debate in this area the quality of the Trump campaign, but I don't think it has anything to do with the Trump campaign. The fact that this gal was told twice to back off, she did not, and they pulled her back, and she was not thrown down. That was a lie.
To Annette's point, though, if you're not going to quite get into it still, we are seeing these types of things happening more and more, whether it's a reporter or not. I mean, do you acknowledge that we're seeing a pattern, at least more so than we're seeing with any of the other candidates?
No, the pattern in terms of the Michelle Fields going up to him, no reporter has gone up to Cruz that I know of, or Sanders or Clinton or any of the rest of them and done this same exact thing. So you see,
or maybe they have, and they just haven't had the same drastic reaction. We don't know. And number two,
there's never been a video. If there had been, if someone,
but here's the thing,
if someone
Alan,
had pulled at Clinton like that, I think it would have been on video and it would have made headlines.
If I'm the campaign manager for whatever candidate, right or left, if the Secret Service is there, let them do the job or tell them to do the job. Why are you going to put that on you? They are there as security to protect these candidates.
He had two Secret Service people there.
Let him do it.
He had two Secret Service people there. They had asked him twice. Maybe they should have had more Secret Service people, but Secret Service had asked her twice to step down and back off. She didn't. When they were in a certain situation, when she actually grabbed at him, he winces. And again, you can see this in the video. He winces, and at that point, and it was instantaneous. You're talking about a second and a half of all this happening. At that point, the campaign manager grabs her and pulls her away. Had I been the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton or for Donald Trump or any candidate, a congressional, Senate candidate, and that same scenario had occurred, I would have stepped in probably and done the same thing. So would you have, because you know you're trying to protect your candidate. Well,
not my place.
Well, I don't think about places when I think that my candidate might be in danger from someone.
He's not going to be in danger. I think that
you don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. You had a guy rush the stage a few weeks ago,
and he was promptly taken out by Secret Service.
There are threats to his life much more than there are to all the other candidates. And again, we can debate the reasons for that, but nonetheless, there are more threats to his life. And I think there's more concern about security around him than around anyone else.
Then they probably should have more security there.
Well, the panel also took on Trump's abortion comments and the increasing likelihood of 2 contested conventions. You can watch those on our website, LasVegasNow.com.
Well, up next, the race continues. Which states' voters go to the polls this week in the race for president? When we continue, stay with us.
Big things are happening at AutoNation.
AutoNation, so I'm hitting the road to spread the word. Beep, beep. And I have a wingman. Just like AutoNation, he's smart and fast. Sure you can keep up? I'll take that as a yes.
Hurry into AutoNation, where you can drive new Honda Civics just $119 a month, or new Honda Accords just $139 a month. At AutoNation Honda East Las Vegas, East Sahara, and Maryland Parkway.
Meep, meep. We're teaming up and joining in the fight against breast cancer.
8 News Now invites you to be part of our team at this year's Race for the Cure
On Saturday, May 7th in downtown Las Vegas. Whether you walk or run,
You can be on our side.
Visit the Don't Miss section at LasVegasNow.com.
together, we can find a cure.
Race for the Cure is sponsored in part by Susan G. Komen of Southern Nevada, AutoNation, Comprehensive Cancer Centers of Nevada, and West Valley Imaging.
A smile. It's simple, really. Yet, it can do amazing things. It can show how we feel. It can brighten someone's day. It can even change the course of our lives. But what would life be like if you weren't able to smile? For more than 1 million children, this is their daily struggle. It doesn't have to be this way. Since 1999, Smile Train has been helping children experience the simple joy of a smile that so many of us take for granted. To learn how you can help Smile Train change the world one smile at a time, call or go to smiletrain.org/learn.